In this video, we'll use movie translations to learn about some interesting cultural and language differences. Hi, I'm Eric. Welcome to We Do Movie Translations. Here, we'll study the English used in movies and compare the translations between two languages that are completely different, English and Japanese. I think that looking at the translations of the complex situations in movies is a fascinating way to understand our languages and cultures and distinct ways of thinking a little better. Today we have one of my very favorite movies, which is called Back to the Future. I absolutely love this movie for many reasons. I think it's really the perfect movie. The adventure is fantastic. The invention of a time machine. For such a well-known idea, there are very few movies that are about time machines. And there are many funny and unforgettable situations, especially because the main character, Marty, meets his own parents when they were in high school. I think everybody has imagined what it would be like if we could travel to the past and see what really happened. And of course, we've all thought about what our parents were like when they were young. But in addition to the fantastic imagination and unforgettable situations, the characters in this movie are perfect. Marty and Doc Brown are two of the best characters in film history. They're classic. So now we'll take a look at some of the scenes from the movie and examine how the original English compares to the Japanese translations in the subtitles. First, we'll take a look at the Japanese subtitles. Here's our first one. Marty, atsukamashii onegai da keredo. This scene is one of the reasons why this movie is so funny and unforgettable. Of course you must know, but the main character, Marty, goes to the past in a time machine, and he meets his parents when they were his age, when they were teenagers. His mission is to make them fall in love with each other. And it's a very uncomfortable problem, but his mother falls in love with him. In English, when someone is young and in love, we say, she has a crush on him. And high school in the US is very different from high school in Japan and many other places. And one of the main differences is that in the US, dating and school dances specifically are very important parts of school life. The school dance is the most important school event, and in order to go to the school dance, you have to find a date to go with. So all the students feel a little nervous and uncomfortable. Sometimes people just go with a friend, but often they try to find someone they like. And in this scene, Marty's mom is going to invite him to the dance. And to ask him, she starts by saying, Marty, atsukamashii onegai da keredo. It's a very short and simple sentence, but the word atsukamashi isn't so common. It's a little hard to translate. Basically, the feeling is kind of rude. But in this situation, there's a girl who should be polite, quiet, and proper, but who is going to say something that could seem too bold or strong. In English, the best word for this situation is brazen. Brazen means doing something that other people may think is bad, but you're strong and you're brave, so you do it without feeling ashamed. You're not embarrassed. And onegai is one of the most common words in the Japanese language. Because of this, there could be many ways to say it in English. The word basically means a favor in English, and in this situation, she could say, I'd like to ask you a favor. Or you could just say, could I ask you something? And the ending, da keredo, is just like saying but. So, a direct translation of the Japanese subtitles could be, Marty, I'd like to ask you a favor, but it's a little brazen. This sounds good in English and it matches the subtitles. But what is the original expression from Back to the Future? Marty, this may seem a little forward, but I was kind of wondering. It's quite different. You can see that she doesn't say brazen. Instead, she says forward. And actually, one of the meanings of forward is brazen or rude. To understand, you have to think of the situation. Marty went in his time machine to the past. Now they're in the year 1955. And back then, girls were supposed to be very polite and proper. They should always be quiet, clean, and passive. A girl who asks questions or expresses herself with confidence seemed rude, brazen, or forward. In the old days, girls should just stay in the back and be quiet. So if a girl came forward and spoke with strength and confidence, she seemed bad. She was atsukamashi, or forward. Of course, nowadays this isn't true anymore. Boys and girls should be equally brave, intelligent, and everyone should learn how to express themselves actively and with confidence. And this expression, I was wondering, is a very common and useful way to begin a question. When you want to ask a favor, I was wondering if I could go to the mall with you, or I was wondering if you could fix my bicycle. So, atsukamashi onegai da keredo is saying, this may seem a little forward, but I was wondering if we could go to the dance together. So it's a good translation. Now, our next translation is part of the same scene. Here's the Japanese. Otoko wa tsuyoku nakereba, sukku to tachiagari, koibito o mamoru you na otoko yo. Here, Lorraine, Marty's mom, is saying what kind of man she wants. Marty asked why she doesn't like George, his father. And she says, he's cute, which is good, but as you can see, she's talking about men who are strong. She says, otoko wa tsuyoku nakereba, which means the man she wants has to be strong. The second part is a little more difficult. Tachiagari means to stand up, and it goes with sukuto. Together, sukuto tachiagari means stand up straight, stand up tall. And this gives us the image of someone with confidence and who's strong. Koibito is easy to understand, but how do you say it right in English? We could say girlfriend or boyfriend, but since the nuance is a little different, it might be best to say the person you love. I've seen many translations that say lover, but this is not really right. In English, a lover is often the girlfriend or boyfriend of someone who's married. It has kind of a negative nuance. And yona means that kind, or in this case, that kind of man. So the Japanese subtitles say, the man has to be strong, the kind of man who stands up straight and protects the woman he loves. Now, what's the original expression from the movie? Actually, Lorraine says, a man should be strong so he can stand up for himself and protect the woman he loves. The two versions are very close. Instead of saying he has to be strong, she says he should be strong. But this isn't important. The most interesting point here is when she says, so that he can stand up for himself. In English, this expression, stand up for yourself, is very common, and it means to defend yourself when there's a problem, to go and get what you want with confidence. Stand up for yourself, without being scared. You can imagine that someone who stands up straight is confident and brave. So she's saying, not only should a man defend himself, but he should defend the people he loves too. Maybe the Japanese sukuto tachiagaru means something similar because it's giving us the same image in our heads, someone who stands up straight. But of course, these languages are so different, translation is pretty hard. Now, let's do something easy. Umaku iku yo. At the end, when Marty is about to try to return to the future, Doc Brown tells him, Umaku iku yo. And like I said, this translation is pretty easy because it's just a set expression that's really common. But let's look a little closer. Of course, iku means go, and the Japanese word umai is used in a couple of ways. For example, if we're talking about food, it means delicious. But used as an adverb to describe how things go, it means well or all right. So he's just telling Marty that it's gonna go all right. That's okay. You could say that in English. But it might be a little more natural to say, it's gonna be all right. We often say this. And that's pretty close to the original expression from the movie. Actually, Doc Brown says, everything will be fine. He says everything because he wants Marty to feel very confident, 100%. When you say everything, that means there won't be any problems. Everything will be fine. But actually, in English, there are several ways to say this. When you're speaking English, you could say, everything will be all right. It's going to be great. Everything will work out. That's a good one. And everything's going to be fine. Actually, there are more ways to say it, but that's okay for now. Now let's look at one more classic part of this memorable movie. Michi dato, kore kara iku tokoro ni michi wa iran. This movie has so many cool moments, and the characters are all really good. So of course, the final scene is great too. They've already gone to the past, to the year 1955, and returned home to 1985. But now we see that Doc Brown has come back from the future, and there's a problem. So, together, Marty and Doc are going to go to the future. But Marty tells Doc, before they leave, that they need a longer road because the time machine has to pass the speed 88 miles per hour. Then Doc Brown answers with a cool and confident expression. The Japanese subtitles say, Michi dato, kore kara iku tokoro ni michi wa iran. So we can see that we're talking about michi, or roads. And as we've already said, iku means go, and tokoro means place. And the final word, iru, or here, iran, means need, or don't need. For grammar, it's important to remember that to is used when someone says something in Japanese. So the first part is saying, michi dato, did you say roads? And in Japanese, when you're going to begin doing something now, you say kore kara. Kore kara looks like it should mean from here, but it's not about place, it's about time. We just say now in English. Translating the Japanese subtitles, we could say, did you say roads? The place where we're going now, we don't need roads. This is a direct translation, and it's pretty good. To make it sound more natural, I would just take out the place. I would say, did you say roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. And actually, if you look at the English from Back to the Future, what Doc Brown really says is almost the same thing. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. So we can imagine that the future is going to be amazing. Here in this movie, they're going into the future, into the year 2015. So I guess by the year 2015, we can see some really amazing things like flying cars, hoverboards, and no more roads. Wait a minute, 2015? Oh well. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope these videos are good practice for you. If you think it's interesting or helpful, please push the like button below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, If there's something you would like to hear me talk about in the future, just leave a comment. I'll see you next time. Thank you.